Hey everybody, are you keen for a cuppa and a sewing chat? Because I am. So hang around and we'll get talking about what I've been up to this week. I hope you're all well. There's a lot of bird life out here today, and I've got some brand new chooks, chickens, whatever you like to call them, in my yard. So if you can hear anyone pecking around, making a bit of noise, that's what it will be. The garden's coming up beautiful. There's lots of spring flowers here at the moment, and we're getting a little bit of sunshine. So I'm trying to make the most of the sun, getting a bit of vitamin D. Now, we are still in lockdown here in Melbourne. I think it's week 6 we're in. We're actually in lockdown back in May as well. We've had a really terrible year for locking down. And my friends in New South Wales, a lot of you guys are still in lockdown too. It's been a really tough year, but so far so good as far as vaccination rates are jumping ahead. So we've got a bit of light at the end of the tunnel there. But look, in one way, it is great for getting sewing done because you do have that bit of extra time. But motivation can be another problem because if you're not going anywhere, sometimes you just don't see the need for making yourself beautiful things. And look, I still love sewing. I think it keeps me in a great positive mindset. But I know a lot of people struggle with finding that creativity and keeping that flow going. But I've got to say, I think most people that have a creative hobby in this time we're in at the moment, it's really what's helping them get through. So what are you finding is helping you at the moment? If you're in lockdown, are you finding there's certain things that you started doing that are helping you that you've never done before? I'm finding we're doing things, little things, that maybe we hadn't done before. I know my daughters all love things like bubble tea. Then they quite often will go to uni and they'll get a bubble tea, and they're missing things like that. So we've actually ordered the BBT kit, which is a bubble tea kit you get delivered to home to make your own bubble tea. So things like that that give you that sense of normality, that things that you did before lockdown can make you feel really good. And another one of my daughters is doing, while she's not doing a uni work, she's doing colour by numbers or colouring in. I think that can really help as well. The teenagers are finding the online school learning very, very hard to get motivated. My 13-year-old daughter is actually doing the Bob Ross tutorials, kind of getting that step-by-step guide to helping you. I think anything with an instruction is great to keep you kind of busy and like doing things mentally great as well. But I would be so lost without my sewing and my sewing community. And there's a lot of people that inspire me online as well. So I'm going to talk, maybe have a segment once a week about people that are inspiring me, whether it be people on Instagram, YouTube, maybe things that I've read or seen in media, things that I find help me to gain a bit of motivation or spark some creativity. Somebody that I find really inspirational, and this has led from me finding a pattern, because I find that I have this real issue. I don't know if you guys have this problem as well, but I will get a mental image. I'll see some fabric and I'll want to make a particular pattern, and then I will get so particular about what this pattern needs that it ends up driving me crazy because I can never find the right pattern. So I'm kind of thinking whether to do a bit of pattern mishmashing myself or maybe a little bit of drafting. That could be in the cards for the future. But I've fallen down the whole rabbit hole of looking on Etsy at vintage patterns. Now, a lot of the time vintage patterns I find start really, really small sizes, and you have a bit of trouble finding the larger sizes. But I love looking on Etsy for there are certain patterns, in particular the 70s style ones that I am after, and I'm really, really picky about what I like. But I did find one pattern that is coming in the mail, so I can show you that next week. But I'll show you a picture up here, and I found it in a size, I think it was 16 to 20 range, which I just snapped up straight away because that's really rare to find that size range in a 1970s pattern. But I'm on a particular quest to find the perfect shirt dress. Now I wanted a bit of a 70s vintage vibe to it. I wanted the collar because this particular fabric I had, I really felt like a vintage shirt dress would suit it, but I really just couldn't find what I wanted looking through the big four patterns. I looked through a lot of indie patterns and I'd find certain elements, but not particularly what I wanted. So I wanted a statement sleeve, I wanted a collar, I wanted the belt and the shaping, and I wanted like the mitered hem, but I had a lot of trouble finding it. So if you've got a favorite pattern for a shirt dress that you love, or the shirt that grew dress, I want to know what it is. I'd love you to write your favorite shirt dress pattern below so I can go and investigate. But I did find this fantastic little 70s little ensemble range that I'm really excited about getting that delivered and having a look, because it's uncut. That's another thing I think is great when you can find an uncut vintage pattern, which is pretty much impossible a lot of the time because you'll find that one size range may have been cut out. But falling down that rabbit hole of vintage patterns, I particularly love the 70s to 80s style. And look, it's funny because growing up in the 80s and 90s, I don't think of 90s as being vintage, but then I think, hang on a minute, it's heading towards that way because it's 30 years or more since the 90s fashions have been in. So that is classed as vintage, even though it seems like yesterday. But yeah, you really see those elements of 80s and 90s fashions coming back around again. And yeah, I found quite a few people inspired me. In particular, there is one lady over in the UK that has really inspired me to get some vintage sewing, particularly 70s shirt style and maxi dresses, and that's Kennedy Flair. Now I'll pop some pics up of some of her beautiful work, and she actually just posted a pic recently of her wedding dress she made herself back in the early 80s. And I just think it was fabulous because that style's actually, those big puff statement sleeves are back in fashion again. I love looking through what she's done, and pattern, she may have tweaked it a bit, and a lot of the time she's lengthened it to become a maxi style dress. But I love her use of prints, loud, vibrant prints. And I just think it's fantastic to find someone to inspire you. Even on the hashtag #SewOver50, there's a lot of fantastic sewers on there that have done some fantastic creating. And it really helps you find that source of inspiration. So I actually had a McCalls pattern. I wasn't prepared to cut up any of my really nice fancy fabric because I didn't trust this to fit me that well. I made up the McCalls 8086, and it is a shirt style dress pattern. It has got that diagonal kind of seaming on the bust line. It gives it a little bit of extra shaping. I wanted to make the long maxi version. I'll show you the line drawings on that too, just so you can see. So I thought I would find some cotton lawn in my stash. I had some cotton lawn from Spotlight that was about 1.5 years old, and decided to make it up in that. And look, I'm quite happy with the style itself. It's nothing super duper special. I didn't really have those little finishing touches, which I like. I like a burrito method yoke. Also like the mitered hems. It didn't have any of that. It did have a really nice sleeve detail with that kind of tab there, button tab. The collar is quite a nice style color. It's not overly large or small, but yeah, quite happy with it, but nothing for me to write home about. I think really it'll look nice dressed up with a belt or accessories, maybe a tie there, but I'm not sure if it's particularly what I was after as far as shirt dresses go. I still am yet to find the perfect one. So I want to know your perfect shirt dresses. Please let me know. What I've been working on this week as well, I have had some beautiful fabrics sent that I've shown you before from Darn Cheap Fabrics, some gorgeous vintage print rayon fabric. This one, I have decided to make the Myosotis dress, and I've done a little bit of a hack. I've decided to make a more dramatic puff kind of sleeve, a bit longer. I've also lengthened it a little bit. I just think it's kind of leading towards that more of a kind of boho romantic style rather than just that short sleeve. But I've seen a lot of people look fantastic in the Myosotis. Now, it's not a new pattern. Of course, it's a deer and doe pattern. It's been around for a couple of years now, but it's been one that I've had in my pattern stash there and have never got around to making it. So that one is all cut up and ready to sew up, and I think it's going to look beautiful with a little woodeny kind of coloured button just to bring out that sort of etching detail there And yeah, I think that'll look really nice in that big billowy sleeve. It's a beautiful fabric, and I just think it's really got that 70s vibe. There's also another colorway in it that I was tossing up whether to get. It's like a reddy, orangey kind of colorway. Really nice, delicate, soft fabric. I think I'll be able to make a beautiful dress from that. So head over to Darn Cheap Fabrics. I've got a fabric haul coming next for you guys. I think you're going to love the fabrics I've chosen. Got a few little plans there. They're tentative plans. I always like to have kind of a bit of a plan before I buy a fabric and have that in mind, and then that way I'll know how much fabric to purchase. Otherwise, I will never buy quite enough fabric, and you can end up being in a bit of trouble once you find the pattern that you want. You either have too much, which I'm not prepared to waste fabric, or not enough, which can be really disappointing. So I think it's great to buy about 3.5 meters for dress, so like a maxi dress if you've got a wide fabric, and 2 meters is my standard for a shirt or a top. What's happening in the sewing community this week? Well, here in Australia, the wonderful Style Arc have got a celebratory event happening for their wonderful Hope dress. It's been 1 year since the release of the Hope dress pattern. If you guys haven't made the Hope dress, definitely think about making it, because it's a beautiful, simple style dress. And I love that the fit of it is just the perfect fit on my bodice. It's not too much of a gathered skirt that you're feeling like you just swallowed up by fabric. It's just drapey enough. And that beautiful kind of raglan style half, I'd say sort of a billowy sleeve, I would call it, the elastic. So it's very, very comfortable, very appropriate for all seasons, all the way through. And they've also said, think about making it in things like sheer fabric and having a lining, having a slip underneath. That way you can maybe chop and change the look you give it, maybe a stretch lace. I've made 2 beautiful Hope dresses, one in a beautiful cotton lawn challis fabric from the beautiful Fabric Deluxe. That was my most recent one. And also at Christmas time, I made a beautiful cotton and silk blend that was from the fabric store. Love both of them. Love the exact measurement. Size 14 is perfect on me. Definitely can highly recommend the Hope pattern. And another fantastic reason to get on board there and purchase the Hope pattern is at the moment, now being in lockdown here in Melbourne and in Sydney, the wonderful Style Arc ladies have decided to contribute 25% to every Hope dress pattern that is sold, which will go directly to the wonderful Sikh community who are making meals. They have fed over, I think for 563 days, they have delivered over 190,000 meals, which is fantastic. What a wonderful cause. All these people are volunteers. I think it's a great way to support such a wonderful charity, because I think to be fed a wonderful, warm meal that tastes fantastic and that so much love and preparation's been put into, to deliver that to people in need is just a wonderful thing. As I know, my own family, we do have a thing where we all sit around the table every night. We have our meal together. Being a big family of 5 kids, there's always someone around the table, and we try and tend to do that every night. And I think it's a great opportunity to discuss what's happened in the day. Sometimes there's arguments around the table, sometimes there's political talk, or there's talk about current affairs, current events happening, and I think there's always a lot of noise, but we do all love sharing a meal together, and it's just something we've always done with our kids. So yeah, it's just wonderful to be able to do that. So I just can't imagine people that are going without, doing it tough at the moment, and that may have lost work, finding it hard with income, to not be able to feed the family. It would be a really distressing thing. So I think for a volunteer charity to be making beautiful food, I think is a wonderful thing. Now, the thing that's close to my heart here is they are a southeast Melbourne charity that does service a lot of the area, birds fighting around here where I live, and I think it's a great thing to support a local charity at the moment. I've also purchased some bulbs that are coming now. I love planting my dahlias. They're already planted, the ones I do have. You are meant to divide them before that sort of planting season comes. So sometimes I'll dig them up and divide them, and that way you'll get more flowers. But usually I plant them on Melbourne Cup Day, which is November. It's usually the first Tuesday in November. That's when I'll plant any new bulbs that I have. So the particular one I've been after for quite a while, it's a really, really hard bulb to find. It's called Cafe or Late, and it's a very famous dahlia, which is an almost creamy, that's chook, almost a creamy beige color, very, very pretty dahlia. So that one will be getting planted. I've also purchased some bulbs, some gladioli bulbs, which I love because they remind me of my nana. Because my nana actually had them in her wedding bouquet, which back, I think 1946, she got married, and I always remember her telling me that she had a beautiful bouquet of gladioli, and I want to plant some of those in memory of her. So they will be getting planted very shortly. I've got a beautiful mix variety, and I think it's Latin for spear or sword, because they do grow upright into quite like a sharp, this gorgeous array of flowers will come out really, really bright colors. So that's happening shortly. I'll be planting those. I've also purchased some sunflower seeds. Now, if you watch the Olympics in Japan back in July and you love those little bouquets they gave away with the medalists, there's a beautiful variety of a miniature style sunflower, which was just so pretty. I'll pop some pics up to remind you. So I am desperate for some beautiful sunflowers to be planted, and I've purchased some seeds that I just think are going to be beautiful. I've got some new elevated vegetable planter boxes ready to plant those in, and they do produce a lot of flowers, and you'll get a lot of bees sort of hanging around those to pollinate the garden, which is great too. So they are next on my list to be planted. Getting some flowers and veggies and some herbs in the garden is always very exciting. I've also got some fruit trees coming out, some blossoms, so that'll be really exciting for the summer months as well. I hope you're all well. I'd love to know what you're all sewing. Please let me know in the comments below, and I will be catching up with you very shortly for a new fabric haul episode. Before I go as well, I'm wearing my With Love poncho here from Emporium that I made from some wonderful French terry fabric, because I love living in these. Just comfy when it's not quite warm enough to sort of throw a t-shirt on. The ponchos are very, very comfortable and very handy to wear. So take care and happy sewing. If you haven't subscribed, don't forget to do that and hit that notification bell, because that way you won't miss out on any of my new episodes that are coming out. So a big thumbs up would be appreciated as well, and I will see you very shortly. Bye for now. And here the bees working away.